BTS News Today. Here's the unexpected reason why Jikook remains popular in Korea. No one was truly prepared when Jungkook and Jimin's names once again dominated the public conversation in Korea this week. Despite the fact that neither of them released a joint project, appeared in a unit schedule, or were even seen together in any recent public appearance. Yet something strange happened. Korean social media trend charts recorded that Jikook, a term deeply familiar to ARMY for years, experienced the highest surge in searches in the last 2 years. What confused everyone even more was that this trend seemed to rise organically, without any promotional push, as if some invisible force had pulled their friendship back into the spotlight. It all started with a tiny, almost unnoticeable incident at one of HYB's practice studios. An incident that was never intended to be seen, yet somehow shattered the internet's quiet morning. A leaked video less than 10 seconds long. In the video, a HYBE staff member accidentally caught a reflection in the studio mirror while taking photos of the newly renovated room. In the background, two silhouettes appeared, faint but unmistakable to fans. Jungkook handing a water bottle to Jimin, while Jimin laughed softly, lightly tapping Jungkook's shoulder as if responding to an inside joke only the two of them understood. There was no audio, no additional details, but their expressions, so natural, so spontaneous, were enough to ignite a massive reaction. The clip spread like wildfire, surpassing 1 million views within hours, and without warning, the phrase Jikook moment returned to the national conversation. Korean media immediately swooped in. Within minutes, major portals released short analyses filled with light speculation and public nostalgia regarding Jimin and Jungkook's close friendship since debut days. Although their relationship has always been described as friendship, something about their dynamic has always felt different, emotionally deeper, somehow more sincere. And this week, for reasons nobody could quite grasp, that feeling intensified. It felt more alive, more palpable, more dominant than ever. What made things even more interesting was a sudden viral quote from a Korean pop culture analyst who claimed that the Jikook phenomenon was not just about their interactions, but about what the two idols represented to Korean society. The analyst described them as icons of a generation who grew up together, struggled together, and found light together. Those words sparked long discussions about how their careers since adolescence created emotional ties between them and the public. But the unexpected reason behind Jikook's enduring popularity turned out to go far deeper than simple nostalgia or a viral moment. Something else had been happening behind the scenes, a dynamic that had quietly grown stronger since BTS's most recent comeback. According to an internal source who requested anonymity, Jungkook and Jimin had been spending more time together at the studio lately, even on days when their schedules didn't align. Sometimes they arrived separately but left at the same time. Sometimes they didn't have practice scheduled, yet were seen entering the recording room one after another. Some staff members even claimed that their laughter echoed down the second-floor hallway more often than usual. Rumors began circulating that the two were preparing something, a highly secret collaboration project. But when HYB was asked for comments, their response was simply, "We have no information to share at this time." A statement far too neutral, far too cautious, and of course, far too suspicious for the Korean public. At this point, Jikook's popularity was no longer about physical interactions. It became about mystery, about silence that felt too deliberate, about laughter that appeared too often at just the right moments, about Jungkook, who recently seemed brighter, and Jimin, who appeared calmer, as though the two were sharing something quietly behind closed doors. Suspicion only deepened when a well-known fansite posted a photo of Jungkook leaving HYB late at night. Behind him, a person in a black hoodie walked in sync with him. Although their face wasn't visible, the posture alone led fans to speculate that it was Jimin. The photo spread quickly across platforms, and even without confirmation, the idea of them being in the same place at the same time added fuel to the rising flame. And this is where the unexpected reason finally began to surface, an explanation that no one, not even their own fandom, had predicted. Jikook remains popular in Korea not because of their physical closeness, shared glances, or onstage chemistry, nor because of fans' theories that try to interpret every tiny gesture between them. Instead, their enduring popularity comes from something far more genuine. They represent a kind of bond that has become increasingly rare in the entertainment world. An honest human connection, unpolished, unforced, and without pretense. In a world filled with images, strategies, and calculations, their friendship stands out as a form of sincerity that resonates deeply with the Korean public. A sincerity that wasn't manufactured but grew naturally from years of shared experiences. They never exaggerated their relationship. They never sold it. They simply lived it. But the story doesn't end there. As the latest Jikook moment exploded online, several reporters began digging deeper and discovered that the renewed rise in their popularity wasn't accidental. It was tied to an emotional trigger that had quietly resurfaced this week. A small incident that happened in Japan 2 months ago, during Jimin's solo concert and Jungkook's overlapping schedule. An incident that left a deep emotional mark between them, and one that only now began to leak. And this is where the real story begins. The incident in Japan was not supposed to be public knowledge. In fact, everyone involved had agreed, silently, instinctively, that it was something that should never leave the backstage corridors of the arena in Osaka. Yet secrets have a strange way of resurfacing when the timing is right, and this one came back with a force that surprised even HYB's internal staff. It happened on the second night of Jimin's concert. Jungkook had arrived in Japan for a separate promotional schedule, and although their activities were not coordinated, fans knew that both idols were in the same country. The excitement was already high, and yet no one expected the moment that unfolded backstage. An unexpected emotional flare that only those closest to them witnessed. It was not dramatic in a chaotic way. It was dramatic because of its quiet intensity. Something raw, unspoken, and undeniably human. A crew member recalled seeing Jimin pacing back and forth in his green room just minutes before going on stage. He had been practicing all day, pushing himself to perfect the live vocals of a particularly difficult song. Under the surface, the pressure had built up more than usual. He wanted the night to be perfect. Not for the fans alone, but because he knew Jungkook was somewhere in the venue, possibly watching from a distance. There was a weight in his chest that he kept hidden behind smiles, but those who knew him well sensed the tension brewing. Suddenly, the door opened without warning, and Jungkook stepped inside, breathing lightly as if he had run to get there. He wasn't supposed to be backstage at that exact time. His appearance was completely unplanned. Jimin stopped mid-step, visibly startled, but before he could speak, Jungkook approached him with a single sentence that pierced through the room like quiet thunder. "Hyung, take a breath. You don't have to carry everything alone tonight." Those words, simple yet full of meaning, were the spark that caused Jimin's composure to crack. For years, Jimin had been the emotional pillar. The one who comforted, who guided, who uplifted. But that night, the roles reversed in a moment so gentle it left everyone speechless. Jimin lowered his head, the tension melting from his shoulders, and for the first time that day, he allowed himself to breathe. Jungkook's hand rested briefly on his back. A gesture that lasted only a second but conveyed a decade's worth of understanding.
Say I'm just 'cause I